Hello everyone! Thank you so much for coming to watch my video. My name is Alina and I am an artist. I do all kinds of art. Specifically, right now I have a focus in jewelry making and I use polymer clay and resin. If you're watching this video, you're probably from my Instagram, but if you're not, welcome. I have a jewelry shop, well, art shop, jewelry shop called Yuukauniverse on Instagram. That's Yuukauniverse. So if you want to check out my work, go follow me on there. But yeah, today I'm just going to be talking about some struggles being an artist. On my Instagram the other night, I kind of was talking about some things that I struggle with being an artist, and I asked everyone else, like, what are some things that you struggle with, you know, being an artist or creative? And I thought it would be interesting and fun to kind of just offer perspective or thoughts on some of the things that I've read. Thank you so much to everyone that replied. I really appreciate you kind of just sharing something about yourself to me, and I think it's also you know, a vulnerable thing to also share struggles. So I really appreciate that. So many people, you know, wrote stuff down and made me feel not alone. So I feel like it could be good for me to like share some of these things and let you all know that are watching that, you know, you're definitely not the only person that experiences these. So I'm just gonna look through some of these responses, and this is probably gonna be like a series just because there's so many topics or so many like themes, I guess, of struggles. But one of the ones that I saw the most of that people struggle with is imposter syndrome. So if you don't know what that means, I'll give you a definition. One second. Impostor syndrome, also known as the imposter phenomenon, impostorism, fraud syndrome, is a psychological pattern in which an individual doubts their skills, talents, or accomplishments and has a persistent internalized fear of being exposed as a fraud. That sounds like really intense reading the actual definition. But I think imposter syndrome is definitely something that a lot of artists feel, and which is so understandable. I've had so many people, like, when I've told them what my major is or what I'm going to school for, they'd be like, good luck with that. And it's like, when you hear that so much, it kind of just like, I feel like you definitely internalize those thoughts and also start believing it yourself, that you can't do this thing. And we just like live in this society where I feel like art isn't as valued as, say, like other professions like being a doctor or a judge or whatever, you know, like it's just not seen as like a valuable thing. It's definitely changing as the times go on, but you know, I've definitely heard a lot when I was younger, like just like negative, you know, opinions on like doing art or wanting to take art seriously. So it makes sense that so many artists kind of struggle with this imposter syndrome, that like they doubt themselves because, you know, you might have just hear from people around you, especially like if you're just hearing those things from people who are really close to you, it can definitely affect you more because we tend to just care about the opinions of people who are close to us, whether it's family or really good friends, you know. So if you're always hearing from those people, like their doubts about you and your talent and your skill, you definitely just start believing it yourself. So it makes a lot of sense, you know. And I think for me, I definitely feel imposter syndrome more when it comes to like business stuff, where like I feel like I'm definitely not as talented in that like regard, or just like when it comes to other things, like I have imposter syndrome when it comes to, I've always thought about like wanting to start like a Patreon, and it's like Patreon's like you can subscribe to like people or creatives or artists or whatever, and like you, like depending on like the tiers, you get like specific like access to things, whether it's like YouTube videos or blogs or photos or whatever. You kind of just pay like this like monthly subscription for their whatever content like they're providing you. And I've like thought about doing that, but I'm always just like, do people really want to pay a monthly subscription for my content? Like, do people really want to do that? Like, can I really offer that to people? Like, when it comes to those kinds of things, I definitely like something like that is very new to me, so I can definitely experience like imposter syndrome more with that. But like when it comes to sharing my art online, I started doing that in middle school. My first Instagram page I ever created, I was in 8th grade, and it was for my art. So, you know, I think when it comes to sharing my work with people, I've just developed confidence over time because I started so young. My username when I first made Instagram was called Artist from Above, the artist from the heavens. And it's like, looking back now, I'm like, wow, like it's just crazy. Like I was a middle schooler and I was already kind of like putting my art out into the world, and like I loved like sharing my work. It was like so fun for me to do. But I think as for advice now with like sharing your work with people, I think another struggle that I saw someone wrote was like comparing yourself to others, and just like that can also, you know, emphasize imposter syndrome more when you're like comparing your work to others, and like, you know, you start thinking yours isn't good enough, or like people aren't gonna like it. But what I want to say is there's not one person like you in the world. There's only one you, and art is an extension of yourself. So no one can ever like replicate the art that you can make. And like I think that's so special. Like it, like for me, like my art is me. It's like it's me as a person in art form, and like there's only one me. So like no one will ever be able to like replicate my art and like the meaning behind it and just like the essence of my art, you know what I mean? And like I totally get, you know, I think it's also because we live in a society where there's so much competition that it makes sense that we like compare ourselves to others. But you know, of course all these things are so much easier said than done, but you kind of just have to be like, fuck it, and just like not give a fuck about what people think, honestly. Like you just have to do it for yourself and only worry about what you're doing. And I think naturally and organically that like what you want will come to you. And like I feel like if you're always doing things out of fear, you're kind of attracting that energy to yourself. But if you're always doing things out of love and just like pure joy and happiness, you're attracting that energy to yourself and your work, I feel like. So yeah, I think it's really something that just takes time and patience and kind of trusting the process. You know, I think starting is one of the hardest things. Like if you're a beginner or a new artist and you want to kind of start doing this and just like really putting yourself out there and like wanting to make a career out of art, like the scariest part is taking that first step. And like once you start doing it, you're like, oh my God, like why was I so scared of, you know? And like I experienced this similar thing where I had to start doing like a lot of like business related things, and I was just like, I think I was just like really fearful that like that's definitely like when I had imposter syndrome, is like doing like business related things. Like I had to go to a bank and like set up like a business account. I'm just like, ooh, like I just like, it all seemed very like daunting to me, and like just like financial stuff. Like I'm definitely not skilled in those things. So I definitely experienced kind of like doubts in myself in that regard. But like once I started doing it, I was like, oh, it's not that bad. And I was kind of like, what was I so afraid of, you know? And I think it's also because like if you take things step by step, it's not as overwhelming versus when you're just looking at like all these things you need to do. It's like, oh my God, like there's so many things I need to do, like holy shit. But if you kind of start doing things one thing at a time, then you're just focused on those things, just one thing, and then it kind of just builds up. You're like, oh wow, like I did all these things. So it's definitely more overwhelming when you kind of like see all the things you need to do, but I think taking it step by step is really important. Also just like I said earlier, being patient with yourself, you know, because this stuff, it's just not an overnight thing. Like being an artist, like I think it takes a lot of time, a lot of patience, motivation. I think you need to be really passionate about this if you want to take it seriously. But yeah, I'm trying to think of some other thoughts and advice on imposter syndrome. You know, with fear that we have with putting ourselves out there, like I hate that I let fear in the past stop me from doing what I want to do, because it's like you're letting this thing control your life. And like, because I remember being in high school and I really wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I was so scared of the judgment that I didn't do it. And it's like, what if I started a YouTube channel in high school? Like, where would I be right now if I had done that? And it's like, it's just crazy that those things can really hold you back in life. And like, I totally get it. Like, it's so scary to do those things, but like, I think the scariest thing is taking that first step. And it's like, you could be scared that something's gonna happen or something's not gonna work out, but like, it's just, the fear really is in your own head. And like, I just don't wanna let those things like stop me from doing what I want in life. Like my own fears stop me from accomplishing what I want in life. Like, I'm not trying to live that life anymore, you know what I mean? Just like, I just really want to do things out of love. And you know, I think sometimes you do really need to challenge yourself if you want to get things done or like do something that you really want to do. And you know, it might just be something that takes time. Like I said before, like I started posting my art when I was in middle school, so I think I just kind of been used to putting my work out there for people to like judge or, you know, have their opinions on. So another thing I thought of is, I think it's similar, just like with fear. It's something that you're just putting a limit. You're just giving yourself a limit to what you can do in this life. And don't do that shit. Don't do that shit. You can't let, you're putting a wall in between yourself and what you want with these doubts. And like, sometimes you just really need to fake it till you make it. You know what I mean? You gotta own that shit. You gotta be like, I can do this. Literally, I think it's also helpful if you kind of just like give yourself affirmations. Like, you're like, I'm a bad bitch. Like, I'm gonna kill it. I got this. Like, I am amazing. I am awesome. I'm so freaking talented. There's no one out there like me. Like, you know what I mean? Just like hype yourself up. Like, hype yourself up. You know, like, I'm a bad bitch. Like, I'm a boss ass bitch. I have a shirt that says boss ass bitch. When I feel it, I'm like, I'm a boss ass bitch. Seriously, because I think a lot of the things that stop us in life are just narratives that we give ourselves. Like, you can change your life at any moment, I feel like. You can wake up tomorrow and be like, nah, I'm just gonna be a different person today. Like, you know, you wanna dye your hair blue and shave your eyebrows off, like, you can do it. No? So yeah, I said before, like, I know these things. I'm not trying to talk about this stuff like it's something easy to do. I just really want to offer perspective and some motivation. And, you know, if you're watching and you're a new artist or you want to like start putting yourself out there, like, I hope I can offer some positivity and motivation into your life. And I'm definitely not at a point in my life where I can give business or financial advice. Honestly, I'm still very like new to the business world, but I've considered myself an artist since like birth. So with the art side, I can, you know, try to offer some advice, and that's just what I'm offering is just from my perspective and my experiences and, you know, my life that I have. And I know, you know, not everyone has the life that I do, and like I've also been really privileged to have the life that I do. So a lot of this stuff is kind of just based on, you know, my experiences and my perspectives and like how I kind of choose to like see the world, and just like sharing my lens of the world and how I think. So if that's helpful to you, that's awesome. You know, if this video offers you any value, that's great. Like, let me know in the comments if you want to, like, you know, want more videos like this, just me talking and giving my thoughts. So let me know in the comments too if there's any other topics you kind of want me to hit, or just letting me know what other videos you want to see from me, because I think it would be cool to try to make YouTube like a more of a consistent thing, but there's just a lot that I feel like I'm doing all at once, which is another topic I'll probably be touching on in a video, just like trying to find the balance of stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to my channel if you want to see more stuff like this, and follow me on my Instagram. It's Yuuka Universe. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!